Homework, booklet 95. Dot 2. Question 1. Find the distance. Speed equals 99 kilometers per hour. Time equals 40 minutes. We need to find the distance. So distance is equal to the speed multiplied by the time. But we've got to be careful here. We're either going to calculate it in minutes and then convert it to hours, but it's going to be much easier just to write this as hours. So that's 2/3 of an hour, right? 40 minutes is 2/3 of an hour. So all we're going to do is just 99 times by 2/3, which we can see straight away is going to be 66 kilometers. Okay, so you need to convert that into a fraction to be able to work with it easily. Next one, again, distance is speed multiplied by time. So 2 hours 30 minutes is 2.5 hours. So I want 2.5 times by 80. 80 kilometers an hour for 2.5 hours. 80, 160, and another half of that, so another 40, is going to give me 200 kilometers. Question 3, factorizing a quadratic. I'm going to put it into 2 brackets, and I've got x here and x here to create the x squared. Now one of these has to be positive, the other negative, in order to produce minus 14. Now I'm looking for factors of 14, which are going to, or minus 14, which are going to add to give plus 5. So I'm going to need plus 7 and then minus 2. Brackets, 2 brackets. We've got x and x. Again, to produce this plus here, but a minus here, these are both going to have to be negative. 2 negatives multiplied together to give that positive. And then I'm thinking what they're going to add up to give that minus 9. And so they'd be minus 7 and minus 2. Next question, question 5, expanding brackets. So we're going to use whatever method you want to use, little grid method or FOIL method. We've got x squared plus 3x plus 7x plus 21, which is giving me x squared plus 10x plus 21. Okay, a little bit trickier this one because I've got a square here. So let's just be very careful with our expanding this out. So first, x times x squared is going to give me x cubed. Outer, x times minus 3 gives me minus 3x. Inner, minus 4 times x squared gives me minus 4x squared. And last, minus 4 times minus 3, be careful with it, with the 2 negatives, because it'll give me plus 12. Okay, so I've got x cubed minus 4x squared, take away 3x, plus 12. You could keep it like this because there really isn't any simplification. It's just normal for us to put it in order of the highest power of the variable to begin with. So this would also be okay because there isn't any simplification. Okay, standard form. So what would this be multiplied by? We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3.04 times by 10 to the power 6. Question 8 in standard form. 1, 2, 3. 9.59 times 10 to the minus 3. Gradient of this line. Right, so gradient, we remember, is y equals mx plus c. The gradient is the m bit, the coefficient of the x. So y equals mx plus c. This part here is giving me the gradient, the coefficient of x. So I need to rearrange this into this form, ideally, in order to do this. So I'm going to add 12x to both sides. That's going to give me 3y equals 12x plus 5. And if I then divide both by 3, I get y equals 4x plus 5 over 3. So my gradient here is that 4. Y-intercept of this one, again I need to rearrange it into the form y equals mx plus c, and I'm looking for this one here. So if I take away 32x from both sides, then I've got 4y equals minus 32x plus 24, and then if I divide both by 4, it's going to give me y equals minus 8x plus 8 minus, is that right? Yeah, plus 6. So my intercept is this one here, the plus c part, so my intercept there is at y equals 6. You could write that as a coordinate 0, 6, or you can just write in 6, would be correct. Question 11, make x the subject of this formula. First I'm going to take away b from both sides. That's going to give me y minus b equals ax. Then I'm going to divide both sides by a. So that gives me y minus b over a equals x. I've changed the subject. This one, I'm going to divide both sides by a. That gives me y over a equals x squared. Now I'm going to take the square root of both sides. So that's going to give me x equals the square root of all over y over a. The square root has to go over the whole thing to show that it's the whole of that that's been square rooted. Question 13, express this as a decimal. So, a couple of different ways of doing this. You could multiply it up to 1,000. You could divide by 4 to make it out of 10. So there's a bunch of different ways of doing this. I might just divide that by 4, shall I? Or multiply it up. I'll multiply it up by 5 to get to 200 and then divide by 2. So to get to out of 200, I want to do 37 times 5. So 30 times 5 is 150. 7 times 5 is 35. So that gives me 185 out of 200. So if I put that out of 100, I'll have it as a decimal. Okay, so if I halve that, that's going to give me 92.5. So I've got 0.925. A bunch of other ways of doing that as well. 41 out of 40 as a percentage. Okay, so again, out of 100, we can do the same thing here. So let's multiply that up by 5 to get to 200. So 41 times 5, so 40 times 5 would be 205. So that's going to be equal to 102.5 out of 100, which as a percentage is 102.5%. A little bit more than 100%. Okay, next question. I want to put the x's all on one side, everything else on the other. So if I take away 2x from both sides, and if I take away 6 from both sides, I've done these two steps in one. You could separate them out. So that's going to give me 2x here, and over this side is going to give me minus 4. So if I then divide by 2, that's going to give me x equals minus 2. Okay, x over 5 plus x over 7 equals 24. Not sure we've seen one quite like this before. Probably the easiest way to do it is to express these both as with the same denominator. So I'm going to just add these fractions like I would normally. So if I think about this, the common denominator here would be 35. So 35 out of 35. Now, that would be times by 7. So this would give me 7x. And then this would give me 5x. So what I have here is 12x over 35 equals 24. So if I multiply up both sides by 35, divide both sides by 12, or if I divide both sides by 12 first, that's going to be easier. So that's going to give me x over 35 equals 2. And so x must be equal to 70. That's a bit tricky, that one, so look at that very carefully when you come to do your your future weeks there. Okay, estimation. We're going to do one significant figure, so we're going to do 40 times by 60, which gives me 2,400. We're going to do one significant figure, 600. Take away one significant figure, 300, divided by 0.5, one significant figure. So that's going to give me 300 over 0.5. If you divide by a half, it's the same as timesing by 2. So that's going to give me 600. 600. Right, find the find the first term. So it's going down 4 each time, so the first term would just be 4. This one, we are multiplying up here, so we need to see what is the common multiple here. Looks like it's timesing by 8. So I need to see what I'm timesing by 8 to get 112. 8 goes in there once, I've got 3 left over. 8 goes in there 4 times, it must be 14.